Good evening and welcome to the show. This is Drinking Digital, the first and only podcast in the Philippines that talks about digital communications. Anything about digital advertising and digital media, this is the podcast to tune into. Tonight, we have a guest from Out There Media. Out There Media is a mobile advertising company, Mr. Andrew Garcia. But before we get into that, Andrew.
Yep.
I'd like to get the disclaimer out first. This is your host, Ricky Baizas, and yes, I am an employee of Nestle Philippines. I'm the digital marketing executive of Nestle Philippines, and the views and opinions expressed in this show do not necessarily reflect that of Nestle Philippines Incorporated.
Sure.
Let's get that out of the way.
Of course.
So,
of
Andrew,
course.
I'll let you introduce yourself first before we get into the topic at hand.
All right. Well, thanks for inviting me today, Ricky.
Thank you for coming.
Pretty exciting. Nice to be on the podcast. Well, I'm the country manager of Out There Media,
Okay.
as you mentioned, and we're basically partnered with Globe Telecom here in the Philippines. We've put up a permission-based advertising system
All right.
for the Globe subscribers.
That's great. We'll get into that a
Fantastic.
little bit later in the
Yeah,
show,
man. Yeah, for sure.
ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 4 of Drinking Digital. And of course, this is about digital communications. And I don't think we can continue with the show without talking about or discussing the biggest news, I would
This
say,
week.
about
Yeah.
technology or digital in general, the passing of a titan. So it's been a sad couple of days, and I felt like I wouldn't be doing justice to digital communications if I don't talk about this, or at least devote a certain portion of the show to Mr. Steve Jobs.
Yes, most definitely. Most definitely.
So let's get that out there first. I'm sure everybody's been bombarded by this outpouring of emotion and sympathy over his passing. Let's discuss that a little bit. Your views on this, Andrew?
Oh, well, the thing about Steve Jobs is, it's no secret I'm probably one of many millions of fans
Right.
of the man. And in fact, I've followed his career ever since I can remember. Apple's been a big part of my life just recently, but I've always known about Jobs as an innovator, a guy who really led the charge when it came to revolutionizing the computing industry. So this is pretty sad. I mean, and I do find it funny that you feel sad. It's not like you knew the person.
That's right. That's right.
But I guess it's what he symbolized for me. Here comes a guy who came from nowhere, just had great ideas,
That's right.
and he made them happen. And I guess for me, that's what was sad about, is because the inspiration behind his career is what you feel sad about, because it came to an end this way.
The thing that gets me, and the reason why I think there is this outpouring, why everybody is so sad and affected by this, is because too soon, man.
Yeah, way too
I
soon.
mean, he resigned or retired or got out of his role in Apple last August,
Late August.
just a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And it's just too soon, man. I mean, 56. So I think that's why the general populace is sad, because you saw him do the Macworld Expo and announcing his retirement just very recently, and then you were expecting like he'd be around for at least a couple more decades, right, to oversee things and to make sure Apple is going in that direction. And then all of a sudden, boom, you get that news, and it's just so fast. It's just so quick. I mean,
Yeah.
even outside of the illness, it's just he's 56. I mean, I think what people are feeling sad about is that whole visionary thing that he got going on ended too quickly.
Yeah.
Because
most
where
definitely.
will it go without him? I, for one, feel that without the Steve Jobs touch, Apple will really be in trouble. Because that's one of the things that you cannot duplicate that. You cannot manufacture that. You can't engineer that.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the history of one person, and that's very unique. So I think that's also the one thing that people are emotional about.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's not just the man, it's the products that he created. Now, that's why there's this love for him. There's that affinity you have for these gadgets or for these consumer products. And he made it so easy to use, so intuitive, and made your life so much easier, whether it be for work or for consuming entertainment. So I think that's what people are feeling sad about as well. So I don't know. It's hard to articulate it, but like right now, this whole podcast, we're doing it. It's on the iTunes network, something that he created or conceptualized. Exactly. All this equipment.
We're surrounded by Apple
are all
stuff
Apple
right now.
products.
Yeah.
So you don't know. You don't know if these things will continue. You don't know if the innovation will continue, and you gotta worry as a race if where the technology will go, because he did lead it. Mm-hmm. There's this anecdote about or there's a story by Steve Wozniak, the Apple co-founder with Steve Jobs, wherein they were working on a project for Atari. And it was the Breakout game. You remember Breakout?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And apparently, like, Atari commissioned them to make it better. And apparently, initially, Steve Jobs told Wozniak that they were just getting paid $375 for the job. But then, because Steve Wozniak did a good job, they actually gave him a 5,000 bonus.
The bonus,
this, right?
yeah.
You know this.
Yeah.
They gave him a 5,000 bonus, and then he didn't tell Wozniak about it. Just gave him his share of the $375.
And
then he was in tears afterwards. Like, it was like he felt Steve shortchanged him or whatever. But afterwards, Steve said, you do need people like Steve Jobs because they push the envelope forward. They push it forward, whether they're not the nicest of people, but you need people like that. Same as the guys like Tesla, Edison, Newton, back in their days, wherein they push civilization forward. And for us, for our age and for our generation, that was Steve Jobs. And I think that's the loss there. That's the absence that he leaves. Who will push that forward now?
Right.
So I think that's also where people are feeling very emotional about. For me, on a personal note, I did get my start because of Steve Jobs. He was an inspiration. I remember back in the 90s, before I even got into this whole digital marketing bit, I saw a movie called Pirates of Silicon Valley. That was my first brush with Steve Jobs, and I was fascinated by this person, even though, of course, it was just characterized by Noah Wiley. It fascinated me. This guy who was very brash, very forward-thinking, equated art with technology, and came out with these magnificent products. And afterwards, I consumed everything that I could about the person and about Apple. I bought all the books. I bought all the Time magazines where he was featured, even the back issues, just so I could learn more about the guy. And this was before the whole iPod, the iPad, the iPhone, the MacBook Pro, the iMac came out. So I do have that history of being a fan of the person and the company. That's why I'm at a loss these couple of days. Not so much, as you mentioned also, I've just also been a recent Mac user because now I can afford it. But back in the day, it was ridiculously expensive. So I could just watch from the sidelines. What about you, Andrew? What's your personal history with Apple products?
No, Apple's gone way back with me. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a couple of schools that were, extensively packed with different types of Apple products.
And he always had a thing about education.
Yeah,
about
actually,
supplying computers for
education was always like
schools.
one of the key areas for Apple, especially early in its history.
Yes.
And I think to a large extent, I think that was a fantastic start because you ended up with a whole generation of people who grew up using Apple ever since they were kids, such as me. My first interaction with an Apple computer was when I was about 6 or 7 years old. I used an Apple IIe.
That's right. I used to play. I remember playing Karateka on Apple II computer with the orange screen and everything. Yeah.
I played like the really early versions of Snake, like the one that came out like on Nokia phones in the 90s, and really great stuff. I Attack Sub 688 and stuff like that, and I really evolved into the different types of computers that came out. Things like the Mac Classic, the Macintosh,
the Quadra,
the Quadra.
Yeah. If you were working in advertising, everybody.
I mean, in high school, I worked a lot in journalism and on things like yearbooks every year, and the Mac was like your best friend.
Yes.
You had like things like Adobe or
That's right.
PageMaker, those old publishing programs that just worked fantastically on the Mac, on the Quadras, the Performance, the different.
Back in the day, when you talk about desktop publishing, it was on an Apple.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I mean that was basically the only format available. I mean, in terms of computing power, it was always about in advertising, publishing. It was all about that.
Yeah, and I think also the other thing is that. What people are appreciating or maybe noticing is this guy worked himself till the end.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just thinking, if it was me and I had known that I had cancer 7 years ago, I would drop everything, man. I would stop whatever I was doing and I'm just gonna make the most
Devote
of it.
your
But
life
this
to your
guy
family or whatnot. Yeah.
soldiered on.
Yeah.
He still worked until the end.
I mean, the guy was very passionate about his brand. I think this is what he lived for. He lived to constantly innovate and make other people happy in terms of their experience with his products. And you could really see the passion. I mean, the keynotes were like rock concerts. You have people like just streaming to watch it, lining up around different blocks in San Francisco just to watch his keynote. And the guy really knew how to deliver in terms of his different keynotes, the products that he would bring out. I mean, creating the desire for different Apple products. I mean, he really knew what he was doing, and he was really passionate about it.
That's the thing. I think that's where the admiration also comes from. Not everybody will do that. The moment you're sick and you're gonna die, the first thing you think about is, I'm just gonna spend time with my family, make the most of it. But for him, his life was his work and churning out one great product after another. He lived for that. So that saying about not everybody dies, but not everybody lives. So he sort of personified that.
Yeah, and then and actually, going through the different anecdotes about Jobs or any of his quotes over the 30, 40 years that he was in the industry, a lot of them stick to you. And right. The one that was really apt for me. I don't know the exact quotation at this point, but he mentioned very early on that what he would do every morning when he woke up was to look at himself in the mirror and just say, am I happy about what I'm about to do today? Oof. If the answer was no too many times, too many days in a row, he knew that he had to change something about his life.
Okay.
So he really encouraged it. I mean, I'm sure everyone's watched that Stanford commencement speech. Yeah. And he really encourages people to go out. I mean, it's a cliche already, but go out and find something you actually love to do, and work becomes easy.
So that's why you gotta admire the guy. That's why there's this outpouring of sentiment, because he lived it.
Yeah. Right? And he made it a point to make sure that every day would be considered his last day. I mean, that was just the way he kind of worked. And the fact that his last day was actually yesterday, it's like a wake-up call for a lot of people. It's
that's
like,
right,
whoa, I mean, 56, I mean, that's only 23 years away from me now. So I'm like, in 23 years, am I going to have the same happiness or passion about what I do for a living or what I do with my life every day? Time's ticking, and it's like, you got to go out there and see if you can have your own Jobs experience. And it's not necessarily to be rich or to be wealthy or, create your own company, but it's just, he lived by his own rules.
That's right.
And he basically did exactly what he wanted to do with his life. It's precisely what he did. And that's something I think that doesn't come for everybody, man. I mean, it's like, quite rare, and that's what you hope for.
Exactly. That's how people say that person is 1 in a million. When you say you're 1 in a million,
Yeah.
there's 5,000 more of you out there. So he was 1 in 5 billion.
Yeah.
When history is written, he will be up there with. Right now, everybody's saying he's our Thomas
Edison. Yeah.
Albert Einstein or Tesla or Newton. So
Yeah.
he's the guy for our generation, and we should be glad we were around when he lived.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
we got to see it.
it
right?
definitely impacted all kinds of aspects in my life. Learning how to use a computer on an Apple IIe, learning how to do desktop publishing during high school, and then now in my professional career, I use his devices every day.
Right.
Laptop for work, iPhone for for communication, iPad for fun. I mean, everything is there.
No, that's the thing. That's the
like-
thing. A lot of people may miss this, but Steve Jobs didn't actually invent anything.
Yeah.
He didn't invent the computer,
Of course.
but
yeah.
he and Steve Wozniak invented the personal computer.
Yeah.
He didn't invent the MP3 player. He didn't invent the tablet PC for that matter. It's just that he made it easier for everybody else to use these devices. So that's where his main contribution is.
And he made it part of their lifestyles.
Yes, he made it friendlier, easier to use, and that was always his motivation when coming out with product. Will my grandmother be able to use this? Will my child be able to use this? Will it be easy? So by making it easy, he made it mainstream. I mean, there was a time when the mouse was it was hard to fathom that you can control something on the screen with a device, and he made that happen. The graphical user interface
the GUI.
wasn't invented by Apple. It started in Xerox.
Yeah.
In the Palo Alto Research Center, but he just made it available to the public.
Yeah.
He made it easy to use. He made it friendlier, made it more intuitive, so that everybody can get in on it and get in on the technology and move the human race forward. That's what we have to thank him for. He had that vision of making a computer an appliance, almost like a toaster or a refrigerator in your house. And that's what we have to thank him for. I think another thing that people are missing is Pixar.
Yeah,
Nobody seems to
actually,
be talking
I was
about
about to
Pixar.
say that as well. I see the outpour of sentiment on Facebook and Twitter, and everyone's sad for Apple and all the devices and that Steve Jobs came up with, when they forget that 75% of his net worth is because of Pixar.
That's right.
And his contribution to Disney and the whole,
The whole concept of 3D animation.
yeah, and computer generated cartoons
That's right.
and movies and film. And if you think about the what Pixar has brought to the table, the Toy Stories,
Exactly.
Cars. I mean,
Yes.
talk
Finding
about someone who
Nemo.
has impacted me. I have a 5-year-old son.
There you go.
Talk about
There
someone
you
who's
go.
been impacted by Steve Jobs.
Exactly. It's priceless.
My son watches all these shows, watches all these
over and
films.
over again, right?
He interacts with my iPad. He uses the iMac and stuff like that, and it's just crazy. I mean, that stuff would not have been possible if these devices or for example these shows were not put together in the first place by companies like Pixar.
That's right. And it did have that Steve Jobs touch. Yeah, it's 3D, but I remember reading something about he was concentrating on the story.
Yeah.
Walt Disney Pictures. These are all about stories that touch people's lives, and he just wanted to translate that into 3D
bring it to life,
technology. Yeah,
basically,
it would be nothing. 3D technology would still be robotic or heartless if you didn't have that, and I think that's what he injected into it. And that's the thing. People seem to
forget
that,
about Pixar.
that he did make Pixar happen. So it's not just Apple computers, the iPad, the iPhone, and so on. He did bring 3D animation to life. He gave it its heart and soul, and that's another. I mean, not many people can have two things going on at the same time and be both successful in it.
Yeah.
But he was able to make it happen in seemingly disparate industries. He was able to make it happen. So that's another thing we're gonna miss him for.
Yeah, that's plus points there for him. I mean, You can tell. I mean, they're two different industries, two different companies, Apple and Pixar, but you can see that there's a certain approach. There's a touch there that made both of them successful, and I'm more than convinced that it had something to do with his involvement in both of them.
That's right.
You can even see it in Apple. I mean, Apple's had the worst decade from 85 to 97 when he wasn't there.
When he was absent, yeah.
He comes back and it becomes the number one company in the entire world. So, I mean, it says a lot. It says a lot about his performance, about his contribution to different areas here. And it's just amazing for me. It's just amazing. It's pretty inspirational. I can understand why a lot of people are sad about his passing because of these types of achievements.
That's right.
And that touch.
I can't remember a time when I felt the same way about a celebrity death. Did I feel the same way when Michael Jackson died? Probably.
I tried to think about that too.
Or Francis Magalona when they passed. But this is something else. I mean, I was driving early this morning and it was in the front page of the Inquirer. So that's how huge the contribution is and then the loss is. So I don't know, man. It still hasn't. It's crazy, right? I mean, I don't know the guy, but I feel I know him because of the stuff that I read about him or the stuff that I watched. I think that's the thing also that carries over is this charisma, the Steve Jobs charisma. You know how they talk about the reality distortion field that Steve Jobs emanates among his co-workers or colleagues or employees, wherein somehow he can convince them or charm them to creating what he wants. So that carries over in his keynote speeches and in the products that he creates. So that's another thing. That's something that you can't manufacture or engineer, the charisma. You have a lot of billionaire industrialists and innovators, right? But they somehow don't have that showmanship, the way he presents his features and his products that makes it easy to embrace and to love. So that's another thing of the Steve Jobs magic that is gone. I mean, it lives on. The content will always be in the internet. His products will live on, and the software will live on. So there, man. So
I think one way to look at it also is I can't remember the last time a CEO passed away and got this much coverage,
right?
Or this much outpouring.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't think of another one who probably Bill Gates would be the only one who would have the same measure of notice.
Or Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg in the future. But I mean, it's amazing. The guy is basically a businessman.
He is. That's right.
And like you said, there are a lot of billionaire industrialists, a lot of billionaire
who made more money than him. But somehow
it's just the impact is just different,
It's crazy. It's crazy. So your last words, Andrew?
I probably can't have enough last words about it.
I know.
I've been talking about it since yesterday.
The conversation will continue.
Yeah, but I mean, going back, my thoughts on what's going to happen to Apple. I'm no expert really when it comes to predicting the success of a company, but I think it will impact them in terms of the decision making process. I mean, you can imagine that a lot of stuff went through Steve Jobs. A lot of it was his own vision. Yes. And I understand that.
That's hard to scale, or that's hard to turn over, right? You just can't. You can't.
I understand. I've heard that, I've read that the roadmap is supposed to be set maybe for the next 5 to 8 years. But beyond that, I don't know. I mean, the day before yesterday, the keynote of the new CEO of Tim Cook.
Tim Cook, yeah.
Did not go over as successfully, didn't have the same spark,
right?
Yeah? I mean, the guy did well. He presented fine. Yeah. But, I mean, it's just not the same thing.
Yeah.
And you can just imagine that permeating through the company in the future. But
they will be hard pressed. The next product has to be.
They've got to deliver. I mean, iPhone 5 has got to deliver, for example. I mean,
or
I think some people were kind of disappointed about the iPhone 4S.
Yeah. But it got me thinking. If it was Steve Jobs who presented it, he would have sold it somehow. He would have convinced.
Would have told you how fantastic it is right now.
Right? Yeah. That's just how he does things, right? So that's right. That the absence is already felt, and what more with his passing?
Yeah, in the near future. Yeah. But I mean, it's still a good company. I don't think they're going to be falling off the map. I mean, I'm sure they'll still churn out some pretty good products. So as long as if they still have the same, dedication and passion in the sense of delivering the products, I think they'll be fine. It just won't be the same, sort of Steve Jobs impact anymore.
Yeah. So, for the family of Mr. Steve Jobs and for everybody that he left behind, rest in peace, Mr. Steve Jobs. You truly, truly put a dent in the universe as
he wished,
what you wanted to do.
Yeah,
you did it.
Yeah,
and you will be missed. And there are no words. There are no words to express this loss, not only for the digital industry, for the computer industry, but for the lives of an entire civilization or an entire race. It will be hard to fill in that gap. So, there.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace. Okay. So... Andrew.
Oh, that was emotional.
Yeah, man. It's heavy stuff indeed. A lot of stories are coming out on CNN and Time and in the internet in general about how he lived his life and about his personal life and so on. And it's only now that we're really getting a glimpse of the man behind the machines. And it's a rich story. It's a rich story. And rest in peace, Steve Jobs. Okay, Andrew, let's get to Out There Media. Let's talk about something else.
Sure.
Out There Media. Out There Media is a mobile advertising company.
Yes.
Please tell us more about it.
Well, I think it's apt to segue into mobile because mobile was on the very next step for Apple to become huge. I mean, they're already a huge company.
They revolutionized
when it comes to the mobile phone, and it's the same sentiment, I guess, in the industry. You talk about connectivity these days. Everyone is on the internet. Large groups of people are using social media as ways of communicating with their loved ones, with their friends, etc. And of course, the natural extension of that is the mobile phone. This is the gadget that you basically don't leave at home.
That's right. You can leave your home without your wallet.
Yeah, and I've forgotten my wallet.
You can borrow from your office mate or your friend, but you cannot leave without your mobile phone, right? You will go back if you forget it.
I actually got a piece of a nice little statistic I heard from Globe Telecom last couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
Minette Navarrete, the head of NBG, she actually told me that they found a statistic where the amount of time it takes for you to realize that you're missing your wallet is about 7 minutes.
Okay.
But the amount of time it takes you to realize you're missing your phone is something like 40 seconds.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy, just really quick, like some really crazy stat, and it's true. And from a marketing perspective, from an advertising perspective, you can't help but think that there's a lot of opportunity there.
It's actually the perfect medium.
Yeah, I mean, if
such a thing exists,
if it can continue to develop the way it's developing, you can imagine, sky's the limit in terms of the opportunity. And it's not just on the advertiser side, it's also on the consumer side.
Right.
In terms of being able to access information, access different advertising or deals that brands are offering the consumer. I mean, it's just so much more convenient now that you can have these things on your phone. Of course, it takes a little bit of getting used to from the consumer side. But
so out there media operates mainly on the mobile space, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What we do as a group, we're actually a European company. We're based out of Vienna in Austria.
Vienna.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we basically...
can we talk about the name though? Because
sure.
When you talk about out there media, sometimes it sounds like outdoor media. And I'm sure you get this a lot. Wherein are you selling signs or... What's the etymology of out there media? Why is the company named so?
I don't think there's anything scientific behind the name of the brand. It's just being out there.
Okay.
You want to be able to reach out and basically connect with all of your consumers all at one go.
Okay.
Very quickly. Be out there in front, and also it's also connects with the whole idea of having endless limits, and I mean, basically no limits to your creativity. Being way out there, being able to reach out and be creative with your advertising.
And so Out There Media operates out of Vienna.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a 4-year-old company, so it's quite young, but it's rapidly progressed into a nice little advertising company. What we do generally is we partner with telcos all over the world.
Okay.
And telcos basically...
So you got to partner with a local telco to make it happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because basically, if you think about it, telcos have a certain level of expertise with what they do. But of course, if they wanted to get out and branch into something like mobile advertising, you might want to look at a company that actually has expertise in that area, in merging media with the mobile phone.
All right.
So what we do is we actually have a platform. It's called Mobucks. And the
Mobucks.
Yeah, Mobucks.
Like money, Mobucks.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Mobucks.
Mobucks. Mobucks, no problems.
More problems. All right.
Yeah, Mobucks is our platform, and basically this platform acts like sort of like a third-party platform that can do campaign creation, do things like the analytics and the reporting and stuff like that.
Okay, so the ads get served out of the Mobucks platform.
It's an ad-serving platform.
Okay.
And basically, we use this platform with the different telcos so that the telcos can immediately have an advertising medium for their subscribers.
So once they partner with Out There Media, they can start serving ads.
Yep.
Okay, what form do these ads come in?
Well, in other countries, we do. The network can actually serve display advertising for one, like mobile banners, etc.
Okay, so there are images or pictures. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much on mobile sites. But when it comes to, of course, certain countries like the Philippines, where
we're SMS,
we're big time SMS users, we focus more on SMS advertising as well as MMS advertising.
So it's plain text.
It's plain text, but we do a lot of different innovative advertising formats like dialogue messaging, click to call or click to mobile site executions. We also have MMS, which basically allows you to attach different kinds of media to the message, and then we to a certain extent we also use GPRS to our advantage, driving people to mobile sites. You get to check out a little bit more about a brand and it's what it's promoting, etc.
Before we get into the ad formats or the executions of the ads, where does the ad actually come out in? Is it like I mean people hear about SMS blasts, right?
Yeah.
Or broadcasts.
Right.
Is it the same? Does it come out in that form?
Yeah, it's the same concept. I mean, you receive a message. Just like you would from any friend of yours who texts you. But how it works, though, at least here in the Philippines, is we've done it in a permission-based format.
Can you talk about permission-based for the sake of our listeners?
Sure.
What exactly does that mean?
Permission just basically means from a privacy perspective, and obviously that's a big topic in many areas.
It is.
In digital.
Yes.
Permission means we actually ask consumers on the Globe network if they are willing to receive advertising.
So you ask them first.
Yes, they have to actually opt in. They have to agree to receive advertising. So basically, it's subscription advertising.
Okay, so it's not like you know how these bank loans or these credit card companies just send
from
messages
the
out of the blue,
numbers and whatnot
from a number.
Yeah, it's nothing like that.
So it's nothing like that. Okay, okay. So let's
basically,
start there.
if you don't want the advertising, then you don't have to take it. You can opt out. But if you would like to get special deals, great offers, great advertising from different brands, then you can opt in, and you can always do the opt-in, opt-out thing anytime you want.
Okay, so first is you send out a message, you send out an SMS to everybody and ask them, would you like to receive SMS ads?
Yes.
That's the first thing.
Yes.
And then when they do say yes, you now have permission to
actually send them advertising.
Okay, but they can say no.
They can say no later on. If they prefer to drop out, then they can drop out.
And then afterwards, they start receiving the ads.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the ads come in the form of SMS.
SMS and MMS, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, just a question, Andrew. When you send out that first message of do you want to receive ads from us, is that charged? If they reply yes, I want to receive ads, do they get charged? Does the consumer get charged?
No, actually, the nature of this particular service is that it's completely free for consumers.
So if you reply, if we get a message from you and we reply, we don't have to worry about
Yes.
1 peso being deducted from our credits or
Yes,
from our load.
definitely.
Okay.
The entire service, and to kind of just give it a label, give it a name.
Okay.
It's actually called My Rewards Plus.
Okay. That's the name of the program.
That's the name of the program.
Of
and it's,
the subscribing to the ad.
yeah, the advertising
program.
service. yeah.
Okay.
It's actually latched onto an existing program from Globe called My Rewards.
Okay.
So what it means is, as a consumer, when you actually start receiving the advertising on My Rewards Plus, you actually gain bonus points towards your rewards program with Globe.
Oh, okay.
So, it's actually you're even
ad-
incentivized to be receiving the ads.
So every ad that you receive after you give your permission to be advertised to, you gain something from it.
yeah.
So
yeah.
it comes in the form of rewards points.
You get rewards points, you get the special offers and deals from the brands,
Okay.
and best of all, interacting with all of the advertising costs you nothing.
Okay.
So if you reply, if you download MMS, if you click on a mobile site link and you
Okay.
surf that mobile site, it's all
Okay.
completely free.
Okay. So now we can talk about the forms.
Sure.
Right. So it can be just plain text.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say I have this new product out there.
Yep, plain text.
That's fine, right?
Yep.
But there are some that you can interact with. Like you can reply to it, right?
Yes.
And then that's free of charge.
Yes.
Okay. And then there are some that have links to a mobile site and then
Yes.
you can click it.
Yep.
And then there are some with maybe numbers and you can click the
Click the
number
call,
and then you can
etc.
call the customer service.
Yeah.
That's what you were talking about
Yes.
earlier, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of different ways to play around with it. SMS is not a new medium in any way,
Mm-hmm.
but the creativity behind it is how you execute
okay.
the messaging itself. So it's a lot of different ways to do it. You know, I mean, we've done all kinds of things over the past year, such as mobile coupons, lead
where
acquisition.
you give them a discount if they show the
if they show the message
to the store.
at point of
Okay.
sale. You have things like downloadable content, ringtones, wallpapers, etc.
Okay.
You can do lead acquisition.
Okay.
Lots of great stuff. I mean, branding. It's all about how you manipulate the medium to make it advantageous to you as a
Okay.
brand.
So
It'll be a lot of fun.
can you share with us your subscriber base? How many people have actually agreed to receive advertising? Is that something you can share with us?
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay.
We're close to about 2.5 million subscribers already.
That's a lot. 2.5 million have
Yeah, it's
agreed.
actually-
Have agreed to receive
Yep. It's about
SMS
10
advertising. So there's an interest.
Yeah,
for
there
it,
is
right?
interest. I mean,
Because they do want to get informed, but they also want the rewards, right?
Yes.
There are incentives that come with the rewards.
yes.
Right? Okay.
And at the same time, there's incentive in being part of what would be a closed group that gets all the special advertising.
All
so
right.
sometimes the offers that come from brands are only open to this group.
Okay. Oh, so you're saying that 2.5 million, you can even target it. You can filter it. So, for example, I just wanna target females. Is that doable? If I'm like a shampoo brand or I'm a feminine brand,
Yeah, definitely.
you can
Actually,
just target females.
yeah, actually,
That's what you're saying.
That's actually one of the key drivers as well behind this program. When we talked earlier about asking people, hey, would you like to join this free advertising
Yeah.
service? We actually...
Yeah, that was my next question. How will you know they're females? Actually, you can't with just a cell phone.
Yeah. We actually go through a series of questions for the subscriber. And
a
the
survey.
subscriber, if they're willing to take on the ads, then they just answer a few simple questions to profile themselves. And of
Okay.
course, the selling point there is that this way you end up with ads that are actually relevant to you as a consumer.
Oh, okay.
So if you tell me like your gender, your age, there's like a number of interests that you can select. Like if you're into technology, if you're into finance, if you're
You'll
into
only
fashion
receive
and beauty,
ads about technology.
you'll be
or what have
prioritized
you.
for those kind of ads.
Okay.
You know? So like
How
as
many
a-
how many of these questions do you ask?
it's actually just about we first ask age, then gender, and then we ask them what their specific interests are, and then we ask them a few lifestyle preferences, things like if they're parents or if
Okay.
they own a car. That's it. It's about 4 questions.
All right.
You
and they're
answer
all
them
free.
really quickly.
They're all free
It's
when
all
they
completely
reply
free.
to that. Okay.
Yeah.
So to our listeners out there, when you do receive these, when you receive this invitation or when you receive these questions,
Costs
don't
nothing.
worry about paying.
It's completely
right?
free.
It's only to serve you more relevant ads to you.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay. So, and then also when they reply to those survey questions or those targeting questions, they get points.
Yes.
They get rewarded for that.
Well, they get points as soon as they start receiving the advertising.
But not for replying to a question.
No.
Oh, okay.
What we do, the reason for that though, is because we would not want, from a marketing perspective, you don't want to incentivize people for answering questions.
Okay.
Simply because you'd want the question to be user initiated.
Yeah, that's
honest answer,
You
user
don't want
initiated.
it to be like you're bribing them.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So they get rewarded for being part of the service. But of course, it's at their own volition if they decide to respond to an ad, to actually act upon some of the different offers and whatnot. So, and I think it's good from a marketing perspective because at least from this point of view, you're getting real answers from people. You're getting real results in terms of their response. And you can actually gauge whether or not your campaign is actually interesting for these people. You have a lower response rate, then that means maybe there could be improvements that could be done to the campaign. You get high response rates, and that means you're on the right track.
So can you say that your 2.5 million base is highly profiled? You know exactly who are the males, who are the females, who are 18 to 24 years old, who are interested in cars, for example.
Yep. Because of the profiling, the questions that they go through.
So people do respond to the profiling.
Yes.
They do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now let's talk about the rewards, because I'm thinking about the consumer here.
Sure.
Right. If I receive an ad, I instantly get points. Right.
Yes.
How many points do I exactly get?
Well, the rewards point system is it's actually on the Globe side.
Okay.
So it's something that I am actually not privy to answer how many points at this point. But you do get a certain amount of points that you can actually add up and top up onto the points you get from My Rewards from using your phone.
All right.
And then you can actually get all of those points together to actually get some of the rewards on the website.
And what form do these rewards come in? What exactly does the consumer get?
Well, if you accumulate enough points, you can get all kinds of different rewards, anything from short-term to long-term rewards. Short-term, you can actually trade your points for more minutes, more...
For talk time. Or for
more
credits.
Talk time, more credits, more text.
All right.
You can also trade your points for a cup of coffee at Starbucks.
Okay.
You can get different gift certificates, vouchers, things like that voucher card. It escapes me right now. But anyway, things like that. All the way to larger prizes.
Okay.
Things like handsets, handset upgrades. You can get computers. They actually have some Apple stuff on the site. You can even get air miles.
Okay.
If you're so inclined. So a whole slew of different things are available on the rewards program.
Now, if I do sign up to this, how often will I get ads? Do I get one every day? How is there like a cap or a limit to?
Well, at this point, it's quite young. I mean, it's basically this. It's a sunrise industry at this point. So at this point, it's actually you don't receive ads every day.
Okay.
But even if it got busy, even if there were a whole lot of advertisers that were actually reaching out, we do cap it. We don't want to ruin the user experience when it comes to the advertising. So you won't get more than 3 ads in one day as an individual user.
Okay. So no more than 3 ads a day, if ever you're the target.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's the thing. If the different brands are targeting all kinds of different profiles, you'll probably never get more than 1 ad in a day.
Okay.
Simply because they're all looking at their specific profile basis when they advertise.
Because not everybody's the same.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, like today we actually launched a couple of ads, and they were very different target groups. So obviously those people as a whole will only get 1 ad each.
When you send out the ad, who does the message come from? Because you do get these bank loan, credit card ads, and they come from +63916 something.
Yeah, like a prepaid number or something like that.
So for this one, how will they identify that this is the one that I signed up for?
Yeah, for this one, it actually is a special short code from Globe itself. So it's a short code. It's 2239.
2239.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the ads come from 2239.
Okay.
So regardless of what brand is actually advertising, it comes through on that channel. And the reason for this is because from a credibility standpoint, to avoid association with things like spam, with
That's
those
right.
cash loan messages.
What's up with these
From
cash
this-
loan companies?
I don't know,
right?
man. I think they're just dying to lend people money. I don't know. At ridiculous interest
These
rates.
banks, right?
Yeah. They must figure if people need money these days, they're probably
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But, But yeah, in any case, from a credibility standpoint, the number is meant to be a trusted number.
Okay.
So when you see 2239, you know it's a legit
2239.
ad. It's
Okay.
been vetted, it's been approved by Globe, by OTM. For sure, we're not allowing. There are all kinds of restrictions in terms of the content. So to protect the consumer rights in that case.
Okay. Let's now talk about. Oh, but before that, before even going there, let's talk about. You were talking about permission based. Anytime you can opt out
Yes.
of receiving ads. How does one do that?
All you have to do is text stop.
Stop. So
To 2239.
So if you receive an ad from 2239 and after a while you feel that it's not important to you or relevant to you, you can just reply with stop
Yep.
and you will
And you'll
stop
never receive an ad again.
getting ads
Yep.
anymore. Okay, so that stop.
Yep.
All right. Now let's come from the advertisers perspective. What are the brands or companies or services out there that would benefit a lot from the service that you're offering? Because of course not everybody will get into that, right? So what would you say are the best? Like who are your? You don't need to mention the name of the brand or the company, but for which industries is mobile advertising most conducive with?
Right. I think I'm inclined to say everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, you're right though. For different industries, there are probably different approaches that need to be taken to make it successful. Because if you think about like your mass market FMCG companies that need to reach
The
a
ones
really
who
broad
sell
base.
shampoo or soap.
But of course, there's sometimes you talk about they're selling things like sachets that are only like 5 pesos and
Yes.
such. From an investment point of view, for brands like that, you look at it more from an awareness standpoint, from a branding standpoint, from more of like a consumer engagement
Wherein you
standpoint.
can reach 2.5 million.
Yeah,
Away. Right.
More of like a reach thing. It's not necessarily a sales driven thing, but it could be more of like a top of mind awareness. Try to drive different brand attributes, try to drive them up, etc.
Okay.
FMCG probably works that way. Versus, say, if you get into the banking sector, it could be more about lead acquisition, specifically
Like if you
getting
want to
people
sign up for a credit card,
apply for a credit card, apply for a bank
for a
loan,
loan.
or open a new savings account,
Okay.
for example. And then you can get into entertainment. Entertainment brands might want to deliver content.
to show that to say that there's a new show coming
New
out
show.
this Sunday.
You can
or-
deliver like really quick sneak previews, audio previews,
Oh,
even
okay.
video actually,
All right.
through MMS, for example.
So, but talking about that, you can target the handset as well, is what you're saying. You know that it's
Yes.
a multimedia phone.
We will know if your phone is capable of actually executing those
of
kinds
course,
of
because it
ads
doesn't make sense to send an MMS or a video
to someone who can't watch it.
who
Yeah.
can watch it.
Exactly.
So you can target that as well.
Yes.
Okay. No, because I was thinking like a fast food company with a delivery number would be perfect for
exactly.
for this platform.
And we have run a couple of ads.
If I was
for-
McDonald's or Jollibee, I definitely put my number out there and tell people, hey, if you want to order this, just call this number now.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I mean, you can execute click to call. You can lead people to a mobile site that has delivery, and which is actually picking up. Actually, Jollibee has a delivery system now as well on mobile sites.
All right. So have they availed of this? McDonald's or Jollibee, Greenwich?
Well, we are talking to all of those different groups.
Okay.
A couple of them have run some ads. We had a nice McDonald's ad in July, which ran pretty well. And when it comes to brands like that, like McDonald's, the food and beverage industry, it's wide open as well in terms of the level of creativity.
Yeah.
You can do things like sampling, wide sampling, people actually driven to the store to make purchases. You can give discounts. You can You can get people to actually order on delivery during downtime. All kinds of stuff. Improve kitchen utilization.
Because you can also send the ad based on time, right? Like for example, if I was McDonald's, I'd send out an SMS at 11 a.m.
and say, "Don't
because
forget."
I know that's the time. Hey, these guys are probably thinking what
about
they're
food
gonna have for lunch, and then you can send it out at a specific time, right?
Yeah, I think time does play a factor, especially for the food and beverage industry. I mean, you can reach them in the morning and remind them that they can actually grab a cup of coffee.
That's right.
At their nearest coffee shop. With this voucher, for example, before lunchtime. Or if it's in the afternoon, don't forget Merienda. You can get some nice baked goods from this one company, etc. And we deliver for free, for example.
So for the food companies out there,
lots of opportunity.
What are you waiting for? Right? I'd grab this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, aside from you mentioned FMCG or fast-moving consumer goods, for the sake of our listeners, you mentioned finance or banking, and then QSR or quick service restaurants. What else? What else would be the perfect candidate for your mobile advertising platform?
Well, we're actually focusing a lot of our energies these days on trying to also get SMEs on board.
SMEs, okay.
Small to medium enterprises. I mean, there's really no limit here in terms of what you can do even as a small company. You don't have to send it to hundreds of thousands of people. You don't have to send it to 2.5 million people.
Okay.
You might want to just do, if you're like a restaurant and say, okay, let me just reach out to a few thousand people, tell them that this weekend I'm going to have a nice steak dinner for this price, or if you actually order ahead, you get a discount or whatnot. I mean, you can just reach out to the few people there using things like location-based targeting. And
you
say,
can do,
I have a
that as well?
Yep.
Okay, so if you want to just target people who live in Ortigas, for example, you can do that.
Let's say I just have one restaurant and my restaurant is only in Ortigas, then I can just target people in the area.
Because it doesn't make sense to target somebody who lives in Philcoa, right?
Yeah, I mean, it might not be convenient for those guys. I was like, where'd you come up with that one?
I don't know, man.
But it's like, but yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? And then you can just do recurring ads. You can just constantly tell people about your new promos. I mean, I would like to say sky's the limit, but there's just really a lot of ways you can use mobile to enhance, your business, even as a small business.
Okay. Now let's talk about, digital marketing is not complete without the results, right?
Of course.
The results that you can measure. Can you give us an can you give us an idea of the response rates that companies or advertisers can expect from a mobile campaign without their media?
Well, what's happening now is since we're using dialogue primarily as
what do you mean by dialogue?
Dialogue means I'll send you a message and I'll say, hey, Ricky, would you like to try out this new deal that I have for you? All you have to do is reply yes.
Okay.
You can reply yes.
So that's a dialogue if I need to reply.
If you need to reply,
okay.
So you say yes, and then I send you a second message that says, show this message to your nearest, coffee shop, and you can get this special deal. That particular interaction where they respond, that's actually what we tracked primarily. So if you talk about sending a message out to a few 100,000 people, we can tell you that, X% number of people responded to your advertising. Okay. And if you think about a response, it's actually engagement right there. It's instant engagement with the consumer, and it's instant interest.
Yes.
That means that person really does want to know what it is you're offering.
Okay. Then it's just up to you how you
actually how you actually take care of that person. But that step is taken in that sense where that consumer has shown their interest and they're actually someone that you can do business with.
Right.
And we measure that response.
Okay.
We also have multiple dialogues where the dialogue gets a bit deeper, where they have to reply several times.
Okay.
And we track the responses all the way through. Apart from that, we can track things like, clicking to mobile sites.
If you send them the URL of a mobile site on the ad, on
we
the text
can
ad.
track the site visits, etc. And really, it's one of those mediums. If you think about mobile, it's like a form of direct marketing.
It is.
And the response rates and such, are actually phenomenal in mobile. Here in the Philippines, we're experiencing an average of about 15% response rate.
15%.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So if you send out like 1 million messages to a certain demographic, you can expect 150,000 responses.
Responses, yeah. That's our average right now.
That's
we
a
have
lot.
had campaigns lower. We've had campaigns higher, much higher.
But that's like the mean. That's the average.
Yeah, right now it's about 15%.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's-
Because I
it's
know
quite good.
on online it's like 0.1%.
Yeah, it's
So
about
in mobile it's higher.
yeah.
Okay, so that's
quite
another
high.
thing. That's another advantage.
I think it's because of the nature of the medium. It's very easy for the consumer
and
to
also
just
because
respond.
they're profiled, right?
Yeah,
You
and
know
it's
exactly,
relevant.
Right,
it's relevant. Yeah, I mean, if I have a banking partner who wants to advertise, you reach the finance group. Mm-hmm. These people are interested in finance, then great.
Okay.
If it's going to be about a certain promo, like something in fashion and beauty, then you can just reach the people who are interested in fashion and beauty.
Hence the higher response
Yeah.
rates.
And it does improve the response rates.
Okay, interesting. Now, talking about response rates and the numbers that one can expect, can you share with us how much this thing? I mean, you don't have to if you can, but or you can just tell them to get in touch with you via email or your cell phone number.
Well, I'm happy to tell you at least the basic price when
Okay,
it comes
okay.
to the messaging.
Like a single message has to cost something, right?
Yes,
including
yes.
the targeting, right?
The targeting and the profile. I mean, if you think about it, the value that you get out of this
Yeah,
medium
because it's a
is
highly
like
targeted
highly
individual
targeted
that you're
individual.
reaching.
It's direct to that individual,
Yeah.
and that the individual has the opportunity to even respond to you.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's very valuable information, very valuable engagement that you can have.
Mm-hmm.
The basic structure of what we have right now is you send one SMS.
Okay.
And then the opportunity is there for someone to respond, and you can
Okay.
send them a second message.
All right.
Those two opportunities, plus the message that you send out, everything there is 6 pesos
6
per
pesos.
person. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say I want to send out to 1 million people. That'll cost me 6 million pesos. That's what you're saying, right? If you want the dialogue,
The dialogue option.
yeah, wherein they can reply and everything. But
Yes.
out of that, I will get 15% response rate. And if you're selling something that's 100 pesos, you get 150,000 times
X amount.
100 pesos, right?
Yeah.
If they do
If they do end up purchasing,
that's
or
not
whatnot.
that's not bad at all.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Return on
And you know, don't forget though that even past the response rate, you were still able to communicate
Yes.
your brand message in the first place.
So they
even to the
remember
people
your
who
name.
didn't respond.
Right.
I mean, they did get to see the message.
They might buy later.
Yeah,
Right.
or they can be aware
Okay.
of what it is you're offering. So
Alright.
it's just a careful balance of being able to inform well enough on the first message so that people can remember, but also leaving out enough so that you have that tease to get people to respond.
That's right.
For the second message, and then
Okay.
you can actually track the response.
So you basically that's also the cost of all the replies and the targeting. That's the 6 pesos per.
It's all inclusive,
Right.
so you can actually target, you know, to your heart's content with the targeting, and then use the profile base that you need in that
Okay.
sense. And actually, that's most of the time it's being used by most advertisers these days.
Okay. So how quickly were you able to bring it up to 2.5 million subscribers?
It actually moved really quickly. It moved up to 1 million within the first month of the service
When
launch.
you launched. Okay.
So we launched in October of last year, 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of November, we had the 1 million. So
Okay.
it's very rapid.
Okay. So
And
a lot
then
of Filipinos they do want to receive.
I think they're
ads
willing
on
to
their
try it
mobile
out.
phones.
I mean,
Okay.
if you have an exit, if you don't like it, I mean, it's
free
pretty
anyway, right?
easy.
It's
Yeah,
free.
it's free anyway.
Okay.
You may as well try it out. We reached 1 million in a month. By the first quarter of this year, we hit 1.5. We got to 2 million by the second quarter, and then now we're building up towards 3 million for the end of the year.
Are you stopping at 3 million though, or
No.
do you want to make it higher?
There's no. We would be more than happy to have everybody on the Globe base
right.
subscribe, and so it's open for everyone to continue to join if they are interested. And most definitely, if we can provide the value that we feel that this medium has for consumers, then definitely I'd like everyone to benefit from being part of the service.
Let's say I want to join now.
Okay.
but I haven't received that SMS from you asking me to join. Is there a
Sure.
way to opt in now?
Yeah, I mean,
How do you do that?
you can actually text just the word plus. So it's called My Rewards Plus. So all you have
Okay.
to do is text the word plus to 2239.
2239.
And then it just
So
starts
even
the dialogue.
without that message first saying,
You can
"Hey,
initiate it
you wanna join?"
yourself. Yeah.
You can initiate it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so if I want to tell my friend, hey, you got to get in on this, just text plus
To 2239.
2239.
Yeah, very simple. And we also have our own efforts periodically. So every now and then we do offer different promotions or whatnot to encourage people to also join the base.
Okay.
So like a few months ago, we were giving away trips,
Just so they would join.
handsets. Yeah,
Okay.
just to tell them that, this is the kind of service that where you get these types of
Okay,
promotions
so you raffle
and
it
incentives.
off. You raffle off a prize to one person who
Yeah.
joins in.
Anyway, I mean, it's just one way of also kind of encouraging people to see the value of being part of an advertising service.
Okay, all right. I have another question. Out of that subscriber base you have now, how many are prepaid and how many are postpaid? Because from an advertiser's point of
Yeah,
view,
you'd want to know, right?
automatically we think that somebody who has a postpaid subscription has more money to spend to buy products or whatnot. So in your base now, how many are prepaid? How many are postpaid?
Well, just as a quick footnote there,
Yeah.
you'll be surprised at the number of prepaid subscribers who spend a lot on their bill.
Okay, all right.
So it's actually surprising. But anyway, to answer your question though, about 10% of our 2.5 million are actually postpaid.
Postpaid, okay.
And then 90% are prepaid.
are prepaid.
But it seems basically the nature of the industry. I mean, overall in the Philippines, we're something like 96% prepaid.
Prepaid, yeah.
That's really the...
Naturally. Now, the 10% postpaid and then the 90% prepaid, how many are females out of that 2.5? Because I'd think that females are the more... the thriftier ones. They're looking for deals more than
I think you're
than
absolutely
guys.
right. I mean, guys are so impulsive. I mean, females look for the best bargain. Guys just want to go to the nearest convenience store
That's
where it's
right.
more expensive
That's
in the
right.
convenience
I
store
tell
than in
that
a
to my
supermarket, right? And I'm like, no, it's just right there.
Yeah.
But you're right. The females have so far seen more value in joining the service. We're 66% female.
So more than half are
Yeah.
females.
Yeah, and about 34% male.
Okay. And then what about the lifestyle question? What are your subscribers more interested in when it comes to deals? Are
number
they
one-
interested in deals in personal care or on food or travel?
Well, the number one interest is entertainment.
Entertainment.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Of
Yeah.
course, everyone likes being entertained, but it doesn't stop you from
Movies and music, right?
using your ads in an entertaining way to actually reach people in entertainment.
Okay.
But there's entertainment, and then it's number two, right neck and neck with entertainment is travel.
Entertainment
So-
and travel.
Yeah, so
Okay.
travel is another high interest area.
So do you get a lot of ad spend from entertainment companies? Do they?
Well, it's a bit of a conundrum when it comes to entertainment
avail of
countries
it?
because obviously
When you say entertainment, it's TV and movies and music.
TV,
right?
movies, music,
concerts.
content, and stuff like that.
All right.
But it doesn't stop a lot of advertisers from using entertainment, even if they're not in the entertainment industry.
right, that's
To
right.
actually use entertainment for the advertising.
Some of them do sponsor these
Yeah.
concerts
Yeah.
or what have you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Travel in travel's case though, we are doing some stuff with a couple of airlines, which is pretty exciting. And we do want to get into tourism and local tourism and whatnot. That would also be something that could play a role as well.
Okay.
So yeah, slowly but surely we are getting different advertisers in these different categories and slowly building up our portfolio in that sense.
All right. So Andrew, talk to our advertisers out there if they want to avail of this service, if they want to advertise on your platform, how do they go about it?
Well, you can easily contact me myself.
Andrew Garcia,
Yeah, Andrew.
country manager, right?
yeah.
Of Out There Media.
Yeah, you can easily contact me. I can share my mobile number if that's the case.
Go ahead, please.
It's Globe. It's 0917-552-4832.
And then your email address?
And you can actually just drop an email to we actually have a sales email where you can actually drop any inquiry you want. It's a very long one. I'll have to kind of spell this one out. But
Go ahead, man.
It's Sales Asia. So it's one word, SALESASIA and it's outtheremedia.com, but it's out-there-media.com.
So that's Sales Asia at out-there-media.com.
Yeah.
All right. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Andrew Garcia of Out There Media, a mobile advertising company. If you want to book ads on the mobile platform, he's the guy to talk to.
Yeah.
Any last word? Any parting words for our listeners, Andrew?
Oh well, yeah. Well, thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you.
Really great to share a little bit about mobile advertising.
We learned a lot about permission-based marketing, how to profile what the profile is,
and how to use it, and whatnot,
how to use it, how to what to reply if you don't want to receive these ads anymore.
Yeah.
What companies are more conducive to mobile advertising and so on and so forth. Anything else you want to add?
Just thanks, and I hope to see everyone on their mobile phones soon via the ads. And really great being here as a guest on your show.
Thank you.
Great to speak about Steve Jobs. I mean, the guy inspires
the man,
everything we do.
The myth, the idol of everybody.
And, I hope it's a great weekend for everybody out there.
That's right. Let's not forget it's a Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
So the weekend starts.
Yeah.
Let's get
starts
out there,
off right.
have some fun or rest, whatever
floats your boat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this has been your host, Ricky Baizas, and this is Drinking Digital, the first and only podcast in the Philippines that talks exclusively about digital communications, digital advertising, digital media, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, Google, and in this case, mobile advertising. Thank you very much for listening in. Thank you again, Mr. Andrew Garcia, for accommodating us. Of course, we'd like to thank Mo Twister, Battle Axe Network Productions. We saw Battle Axe earlier. He's adorable dog.
Yeah.
He's very cute. We'd like to thank the man with the plan, Mr. Miguel Olfindo. Of course, a shout out to our the designer of our amazing logo here. The Drinking Digital logo, Mr. Kenneth Tan. Check out his website at ken.ph. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the weekend. See you again next week.
Bye-bye.